Today we're going to learn the psychology of bad decision making, the 6 shortcuts of persuasion, and how to spot and defend against an unfair sales gambit. Starting
now!
Average.
Optimized.
Influence by Robert Cialdini.
Dr. Cialdini, or the godfather of influence as he's regarded by his peers, wrote the bestseller that's on the top shelves of all psychologists and marketers alike. Backed by Dr. Cialdini's 35 years of evidence-based, peer-reviewed scientific research, this book is all about the science of persuasion and the shortcuts of influence, whether you want to use them or make better decisions by being aware of them. So, what are 3 big ideas from this book?
Triggers!
You hear a bunch of screeching and rustling. You look around and see red robin feathers flying everywhere around a kerfuffle, a territory dispute. You note to yourself, and you move in stealthily. As you get closer, you see that there's only one bird, one red robin attacking a clump of red robin feathers. Then you look and see 2 scientists with clipboards, and it all makes sense.
Fixed action patterns.
Mother turkeys mother little chicks. Well, not really. You can take anything from a strange box to a replica of their most hated rival, and if you play a cheep cheep noise coming out of it, the mother turkey will gather it under her to keep it warm. So really, mother turkeys mother things that go cheep cheep.
The great lag goose will roll eggs back into her nest, even if they are doorknobs or golf balls. So really the goose rolls round things into her nest.
And red robins will attack other red robins if they enter their territory. But more specifically, red robins will attack other red robin feathers. These animals have these stimulus reflexes called fixed action patterns.
A mother turkey takes care of things that cheep. A goose rolls egg-like things back into its nest. Red robins fight off things that have red robin feathers.
If you take too long to figure out whether it's actually your chick, if it's actually an egg, or if it's actually a rival, it could be too late. So to save cognitive resources and to speed things up, the behavior just gets associated with a trigger stimulus. Cheep cheep, roundness, or red robin feathers. But maybe you could see how this could end up being an issue. Think of a cleaner fish. The cleaner has an agreement with big fish. The cleaner will eat the parasites and other harmful things out of the big fish's mouth. Cleaner gets a meal, the big fish gets a healthy mouth. Win-win.
Whenever the cleaner fish does his dance, it triggers a fixed action pattern, and the big fish relaxes and opens wide.
Time to introduce the saber-toothed blenny. This is not a cleaner fish, but he knows the dance. The big fish's mouth opens up at the sight of the dance, but instead of a clean mouth, he gets an ow mouth.
The fixed action pattern of the big fish has just been taken advantage of.
Yeah, but why are we talking about this? This is all stuff that just happens to dumb animals. Humans don't have fixed action patterns you could take advantage of, right?
The tricks of the human saber-toothed blenny.
Just like with the turkeys, geese, and robins, humans have cues that help them make the right decisions. These developed over long spans of time and are practically foolproof.
That is, until we are fooled.
Over time, exploiters, profiteers, and other manipulators have figured out how to exploit these natural cues through shortcuts of persuasion.
There are 6 shortcuts of persuasion. Reciprocation. The rule for reciprocation says that we should try to repay in kind what another person has provided us.
You will often be given something, a mint, a free sample, a fortune cookie, a flower at the airport. and studies show we are much more likely to respond in kind to the gift in whatever way we can when, as according to their plan, the opportunity presents itself with a donation or a purchase.
Consistency. The rule of consistency says that once a stand has been taken, we act in ways to justify our earlier decision.
A study was done where they called people and asked if those people considered themselves charitable. Most said yes. A few days later, they asked those same people if they would help with an actual event, and so many said yes, there was a 700% increase in the amount of usual participants. Compliance professionals will try to make you take a small stand, and once you let them get their foot in the door, they're in.
Social proof. One means we use to determine what is correct is to find out what other people think is correct, especially when it comes to behavior.
If we see a crowd of people looking up, we will also look up with them. We laugh longer and rate things as funnier if we hear canned laughter. We hear fastest growing or largest selling, and we want in too. And we add to the basket if it's already got some money in it. We want to do what other people are doing too. So if they show us other people doing it, we're going to want in also.
Liking. We prefer to say yes to the request as someone we know and like.
We like people who are physically attractive, who are similar to us, and who compliment us. Many salespeople are trained to look for cues they could say they're similar on. If they see golf bags, they mention they hope the weather is nice later for a round. Or if they see out-of-state tags, they may say, "Oh, my wife was born there," all the while complimenting us.
Authority. We trust expertise and we comply with authority.
Titles and garbs are quick indicators that we are in good hands. If your doctor came in with a tank top on, you would take them far less seriously than when they come in with their doctor's outfit, especially if they're brandishing their diploma behind them. But phony titles and imposters can leave us with a false confidence in them and trick us.
Scarcity. If it's in limited supply and others want it, we want it.
Four-leaf clovers, restricted love and restricted information, and limited supply being bought up quickly leaves us asking, what am I missing? What am I about to miss out on? Quick, before it's too late.
Reciprocation. Consistency. Social proof. Liking. Authority. And scarcity. These are all smart ways for our minds to automatically cut down on the amount of work required in decision making.
Once we see the dance, we open our mouths, knowing soon we'll feel that fresh sensation of a clean mouth. Most of the time, these cues come up naturally and actually help us make better decisions. But there are others who know the dance, who are just looking for a meal, that don't care whether we have a clean mouth after or not. The next part is about how to tell the two dances apart and refuse the blenny.
How to say no.
Not every time one of these shortcuts is used is an instance of manipulation. These are long-standing cues for good decisions for a reason. But you should keep an eye out for bad actors. Apart from watching for the particular shortcuts you've just learned and having a general vigilance, it will be useful to know how to say no to each tactic.
If you see a reciprocation gambit on the way, you must first check if it is a gift or a sales device.
If it's a sales device, there are a couple different tacks to the refusal. Method 1, thank them for the sales device and move on, not letting it influence you further. Method 2, sometimes more drastic measures are necessary if they don't immediately accept your refusal. Consistency. Be careful to agreeing with trivial requests. It can increase compliance down the line.
Leonardo da Vinci says it's easier to resist at the beginning than at the end.
Social proof. If you sense bad social proof, disconnect from autopilot. If you're unsure how to behave, act how others are acting until you get a weird feeling.
At that point, ask them why they are acting that way to check for good reasons or bad reasons.
Liking. Be careful to disassociate. They may be using methods to make you like them, or they may just be likable.
Either way, remember that your liking them doesn't change what you're buying.
Authority. Watch for phony titles and ask these 2 questions.
Is this authority truly an expert? Are their credentials relevant to the topic at hand? How truthful can we expect them to be here? What's their motive? And are they willing to be a little self-deprecating?
Scarcity. Scarcity hinders our ability to think by exciting us. Use this excitement as an indicator to be cautious.
Remember that we want this to use it, not just to have it, and come from that perspective.
All combined, you should become a machine of good decision making, knowing when to trust your instincts and when to question them, joining the ranks of the wisest and most intentional decision makers there ever were.
Recap.
To recap this time, we'll just see all of the principles in action in one sitting. This is a deal I found for a bunch of video editing stuff.
Starting with scarcity. This deal will run out in 7 hours, and the name of it is 5-day deal, so it was only 5 days to begin with. Authority. Hand-picked the best video leaders, the top experts. Reciprocity. You could think of these as gifts. It's giving us all kinds of deals, practically giving it away, and they extended the time. Liking. As video creators, we are evolutionary anomalies. An evolutionary anomaly. I'd take that as a compliment. Plus, look at all the charity work. How many meals donated? I like them. Consistency. As video creators, we're all video creators. You've made it this far, right? You must care about your craft. Video people like you love our bundles. If I want to stay consistent with being a video creator, I really ought to get this bundle. Social proof. Check out the testimonials. And over 50% of video customers buy the complete bundle. Look how many fans they have.
That deal was something that I almost purchased, but I was reading this book at the same time and realized that I didn't need it. This book can be read in 2 different ways, as a way to protect yourself from manipulative sales methods, or as a way to use the techniques for selling. For the second way, he strongly pushes the ethical approach, often making the case that it's the only good long-term strategy anyway. There were a lot of studies and surprising facts, and you notice all these differences in compliance percentages with only small changes all throughout the book, and there was a lot that I couldn't include, as well as the power of because and of contrast and the power of concessions. This book is well worth it and was actually sent to me to review by the Influence team and by the author's wife, who loved our review on another of Dr. Cialdini's books, Pre-suasion. So, go get the book yourself and become a master of ethical persuasion and decision making. Links below. Thank you for watching.
Leave us a book suggestion if you want us to review it.
Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss next week's video, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
Average.
Optimize.